All right, guys, it's Mrs. Woodard here. We're going to take some time and just kind of review the classroom policies. I recommend that you print out that blue link there that says classroom policies so you can get a hard copy. But more than anything, I just want to make you familiar of what is expected of you during this virtual course. All right, so a virtual class is designed, I'm just reading right here, a virtual class is designed to be experienced entirely virtually. All work and communication is to be completed online. The benefit of taking such a class is to participate in a convenient learning environment while developing valuable 21st century skills. Virtual classroom will allow you to develop digital citizenship. That's basically understanding how to operate in a digital world, collaboration, critical thinking, and communication skills differently than a traditional classroom. So with this class, you're going to develop more than just English skills. You're really going to work to develop their 21st century skills. So you're going to get something additional to what the traditional English 12 experience is, which is what you should be really excited about. Our lessons not only focus on learning the English curriculum, but also enhancing these increasingly important 21st century skills that will benefit you academically, professionally, and personally. Virtual class policies are designed to help you understand expectations associated with virtual learning. So this is a new world for you, this is my third semester doing this with students, so I've kind of figured out what some of those pitfalls are. So I'm going to talk you through that today, and hopefully you can avoid some of the mistakes. First things first is you're going to have a daily login. Students are required to log into the class virtually to check for announcements, messages, or any assignment changes that may occur. When you log in, you must complete the day's login survey quiz that will be located in the weekly module. You will not receive credit unless you complete the day's login survey quiz. So just because you log in and look at stuff, you're not going to receive credit. You're going to have to actually go into the quiz for the date. And you'll see that when the date opens up, you'll see that a new quiz is available. Click in, do whatever it is it asks you to do, check off whatever you need to check off, hit enter, peace out, and then you'll get credit for it. There's no specific time for you to log in. For example, if you're assigned virtual 12 during first period, you do not have to log in during that time. Just make sure you log in and complete the survey by the end of that day, because the window is going to close. It's only going to be available during that calendar day. Your daily login will count as 10% of your grade. So if you're shooting for an A, you got to log in every single day. And I'll be honest with you, kids don't log in every day. That really has a negative impact on your grade. So make sure that you are logging in. Next, you're going to talk about the assignments. So assignments are typically given in weekly sections called mods. That's the module that I talked about in the previous video. You're going to go to modules, and there's going to be all your assignments for the week. Our weekly segment will run from Tuesday morning to Monday evening. Therefore, on Tuesday, a list of assignments will be posted. You'll have until Monday at 11:59 p.m. to complete the assignments that are listed, unless otherwise stated. So there may come time with some readings, but if you're like, all right, I want you to be done this chapter by this part of the week, and you're going to have a little assessment on that. And that's more just for pacing purposes. But for the most part, everything's going to be done by midnight on Monday. However, do not assume that they're the only assignments for the week. Additional assignments may be added throughout the week, which is why you must log in daily. In addition, in order to receive credit for your work, all of the assignments must be completed in its entirety and on time. This is a big deal for some kids. For some reason, you guys are handing in work that's not completed, and then you're shocked that you didn't get full credit for it. You have to complete the work that's assigned to you. So if it's worth 10 points and you only do 80% of it, you're not going to get an 8 out of 10. You have to do all of it, okay? And it must be done on time. If it's late, it's a 0. Unless you get an extension, it's a 0. Therefore, no partial credit will be given for a worksheet that is partially complete, and assignments will not be accepted after the due date unless you have requested and received approval for an extension due to extenuating circumstances before the due date of the assignment. So sometimes things happen. You're absent. You need to email me and let me know that you're absent, because I'm not taking attendance. So if you miss a specific window for something to be due because you were absent, you need to get an extension from it, because just because you're not in the building doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have the work that's due. So anything that you think you may need to be getting an extension on, you got to communicate that to me ahead of time. In addition, the assignment completion is really the biggest part of this course. This is the area that most kids have problems with. Students fail this course because they don't complete the work. Not of high quality, nonetheless. Like, they're not completing the work. So you get a week worth of assignments on Tuesday. Get your work done Tuesday and Wednesday. Have the rest of the week to relax. Have it as a study hall. Do whatever you need to do. But get that work done early in the week. I find that my students that think they're going to get it done at the end of the week do not have a high success rate. Okay? So make sure that what you're doing is complete the work early and then spend the rest of the week to use a study hall or whatever capacity you want to use that period for. Okay, technical difficulties. Now, this is a huge issue that you need to be aware of. Every one of you are going to come across some sort of technical difficulty. And the way that you handle that difficulty will determine whether or not that difficulty will give you an extension or whether or not that difficulty is going to get you to a 0. Okay? And my protocol is very clear-cut, so you need to know this protocol. So technical difficulty will occur in this course. Okay? message, you couldn't log on. They do arise, which is the nature of online learning and teaching. When this occurs, you must follow the outlined procedure to report the issue immediately. Okay, so if you have an issue, you right away, you email me and you follow this protocol. You don't wait till Monday. You take care of that, okay? So the first thing is you take a screenshot of what you see on your screen. If you don't know how to do that, then you Google it, okay? You're developing 21st century skills. Figure out how to do a screenshot and how to save it to a Word document, okay? Then what you do is you attach that image in an email detailing exactly what went wrong. So you need to tell me, hey, Mrs. Woodard, I tried to log into the course. It said that the assignment is closed. Here's a screenshot of that, and you're detailing it to me with the attachment of the screenshot. I'm not going to believe you that an assignment was closed unless you're able to prove it with a screenshot. Then you have to send the email to me before the assignment was due, okay? Because I don't know when you're accessing the assignment, so you need to cover yourself and make sure that you send it to me before the assignment is due. And then wait for a response from me, and then follow my directions. Okay, just because you had a mistake doesn't mean you're going to get an extension. I may write back and say, hey, try this, go into this, all right, open this now, that sort of thing. Okay, that's the dialogue that needs to occur between us. So wait for a response from me, then you follow the directions, and if you're still having a problem, email me, and then we'll go back and forth until we fix it. If the problem has been fixed, email me back to let me know it's been corrected, or email to state to me that you're still having difficulty. At that point in time, if you're still having difficulty, I may give you an extension, but do not assume that. Okay, so it's a back and forth. You must follow this protocol. If you email me and say you're having a difficult time, the first thing I'm going to do is say, give me your screenshot. Okay? So make sure you're following this protocol. And again, do not just email me about the problem and forget about it. If you email with your problem, I will email you back with suggestions and will expect you to email me back stating that it has or has not been corrected. This is that communication and collaboration that was referenced in the intro. Back and forth virtual dialogue is essential for appropriate online communication, so make sure you're doing it. All right, assessments. Tests and quizzes will occur virtually in this course. However, there are some assessments that you'll be required to take in the school library. When that occurs, you must check in with the librarian during your scheduled class time. You may not do it during homeroom or after school. Okay, so on test days, vocabulary test days, reading test days, you've got to go right into the class. You will not have an opportunity to study and open up your vocab book. When you sign in, she will give you a password, and then it is expected that you will log onto the computer and then do the assessment immediately. You'll have no materials with you, and she'll ensure that you are keeping that ethical standards up by not having your materials with you. Tests are typically timed, and once started, may not be stopped. Okay, so understand. I know that it's very easy for you to cheat. So vocab tests are timed. I'm not going to give you 45 minutes to look up 20 sentences. Absolutely not. You're going to have about 30 to 60 seconds to finish a sentence completion. Same thing with literature. You either know it or you don't know it. You'll have about 10 to 30 seconds to be able to answer your literary questions. Then that's to prevent you from opening up other windows and then looking for that information. All right, grading. This is a big one here. All grades are going to be recorded and calculated in HAC. Okay, Home Access Center, just like if you were in a traditional English classroom. However, the Canvas program that you're on does have a grade book, and it can tell you what you scored on a specific assignment. But they will not have your actual grade because it is not appropriately weighted. So you may have an A in Canvas, but that does not mean you're going to have an A in HAC. Therefore, Canvas's gradebook is not in any way an accurate representation of your grade. HAC will have the most accurate record of your specific assessments and calculated overall grade. Due to the nature of the English curriculum, assessments may take longer than a traditional class grade. I'm telling you right now, assignments take time, especially in a virtual setting. Okay, so you need to be very, very patient with when things go up on HAC. Therefore, please be patient with the time it takes to grade assessments. In addition, certain assignments will have a specific percentage associated with it that will change within the quarter. So first quarter, you're going to have the following percentage breakdown. Your daily logins could be 10%, vocabulary, which is 20%, research paper, which is 25%, class assignments, which is that other category, will be 45%. In your second quarter, you're going to have the following percentage breakdown. Daily login of 10%, vocab 20%, class assignment percent, and then down here hiding is the final exam will also be at 25% of your grade. Now, students receiving an A in both quarters will be exempt from the final exam, and you must receive an A in the first and second quarter, not a combined average of an A. In addition, the final exam will not be done virtually on the computer. It will be a paper and pencil copy that you will take in front of a teacher, okay? But we'll talk more about that when we get there. Plagiarism and unethical behavior. So, by participating in a virtual class, you are vulnerable to the rules of the acceptable use policy that has been issued in the Council Rock School District. Please be familiar with this policy before you begin working in this course. I have a zero tolerance cheating policy, and any unethical behavior will result in a non-negotiable 0 on the assignment. Contact your parents and discipline from your grade level principal. Please know that cheating virtually is incredibly easy. However, catching virtual cheaters is even easier. It is in your best interest to adhere to the rules in the student's handbook, the acceptable use policy, and your own moral code to avoid any issues. Essentially, once you log into Canvas, I can see all your movement. So does that make sense to cheat? Okay, communication. All communication in the course is going to be completed through email. If you run into a problem or have any questions, email me immediately through Canvas to articulate your concerns or confusion. I'll check my email throughout the day and evening, so I will reply back to you through Canvas as soon as I've read your email. In addition, please practice school-appropriate email etiquette. Remember, you're writing to a teacher and not texting a friend. The rules of grammar and English should be utilized. In addition, the personal pronoun I is always capitalized. For some reason, in your journals, in your discussions, students don't capitalize I anymore. You will lose credit for that. In addition, in your emails to me, you should be actually capitalizing the personal pronoun I, okay? Typical, regular English language rules apply. All right, clinic. If you do not meet with me, if you need to meet with me face-to-face, I'll be available Tuesdays and Thursdays after school in room 212 East from 2:20 to 3. Please feel free to stop by and introduce yourself or ask any questions you may have about the curriculum. For students from South, if you are unable to make it to my clinic time, communicate your need with me to me, and I will find a way to meet you over at South. The last thing I want to say is this. When you are in the library, you are an extension of me, okay? I am not there to discipline you or to watch over you. However, the expectation is that you are a senior in high school, and that if you're mature enough to take a virtual class, you are mature enough to act appropriately in the library. So when you are in the library, please adhere to the rules of the library and do not cause any problems to the librarian. They will email me with any issues that they're having, and as a result, as your classroom teacher, I have the ability to provide disciplinary actions and measures that I deem appropriate based on the actions. So please recognize that you're in the library to do work, all right? Best of luck to you guys. I hope you understand these policies. When in doubt, go back to the policies. Make sure you understand everything to avoid any type of confusion or frustration on your part as you endeavor through the course. All right, good luck to you guys.